Hey, I'm Scott Einsman, gear editor for Outdoor Life, and right here we have the two fastest crossbows in the world. I'm holding the Ravin R500, and right here is the Tenpoint Nitro 505. Using a lab radar Doppler chronograph, we clocked both of these in well over 500 feet per second. The Ravin R500 shot 505 feet per second, and the Nitro 505 shot 515 feet per second. And before we jump into comparing these two crossbows, I kind of want to go over what that means to you as a crossbow hunter. 500 feet per second means that at 50 yards, both of these are shooting a bolt at 476 feet per second. So when that bolt is hitting the target at 50 yards, it's going 470 feet per second. Blazing fast still, and it's carrying a ton of kinetic energy and momentum into that target. Both of these are shooting 400 grain bolts. So again, at 50 yards when it's hitting that target, it has more kinetic energy and momentum than a compound bow shooting 300 feet per second with a 600 grain arrow at point blank. So let that sink in for a second. A ridiculous compound bow setup at point blank, these have more momentum hitting a target at 50 yards. Another huge benefit is going to be trajectory. I shot both of these crossbows at 20 and then at 40 yards using the same aiming point, and the bolts only dropped an inch and a half. So pretty much within your margin of error of your float, you're still hitting the same spot at 40 yards and 20 yards, no drop. Another thing to consider is that in 2019, at the Outdoor Life crossbow test, the fastest crossbow was 430 feet per second. It was a 10-point. And here we are 3 years later, 70 feet per second faster. That's a huge leap in performance. So it's just absolutely insane what crossbow engineers have done with both of these crossbows. If you're excited about 500 foot per second crossbows still, and you're wondering which of these two you should buy, here's our take after doing a ton of testing with both of these. The Nitro 505 is the fastest crossbow on planet Earth, 515 feet per second, 10 feet per second faster than the R500. But the R500 is the better all-around crossbow, and here's why. At 50 yards, we shot from a lead sled off a bench. The R500 was more accurate with field points than the 10-point. Using a 100 grain Sever broadhead at 50 yards from the bench and lead slide still, the R500 shot the broadhead more accurately and consistently more accurately. What we did is, after each group, we would rotate the broadhead onto a different bolt, and then of course spin test it and make sure it was aligned properly, and then shoot another group. And that was just to see the consistency in the bolts and to see if we had any flyers, which of course we did with these crossbows. The R500's flyers weren't as common and they weren't as severe as the 10 points. You know, we're talking about like a 4-inch flyer for the R500 versus a 9-inch flyer for the 10-point. And the 10-point just had more of them. You know, it was harder to find bolts that shot broadheads with the field points. So that's why the R500, you know, stood out in the accuracy department, is more accurate with field points, more accurate with broadheads. The R500 also has some really cool features. Like when you're cocking this, the string is fully enclosed in this shroud here, which adds like a level of safety. So it's harder to get your fingers in the way of the string, basically. It has a really nice trigger. It's more compact. And I mean, we have it topped with a Garmin Zero scope, which is absolutely insane. If you've never looked through one, it's like flying a fighter jet. It's really cool. The cocking mechanism on the R500 is absolutely a thing of genius. There are 2 threaded rails in here, and the trigger group slides down those rails, picks up the string, and comes back. No straps, no cables, nothing like that to get tangled or break or anything. It's a really robust system. Now, there are some negatives to the R500. The accessories that come with it, like the crank handle, don't seem like they belong on a $3,000 crossbow. They look like they belong on a budget crossbow, to be honest with you. You know, the 10 points crank handle is really nice, really comfortable, really well made. It matches the crossbow well. R500's not so much. It's a small thing, but when you're paying this much money, you should get some better stuff with your crossbow. And then, of course, both of these are insanely expensive crossbows, starting at $3,000, and then, you know, if you're throwing a Garmin scope on there, you're looking at $4,000 for a crossbow package. It's a lot of money, but if you are really serious about crossbow hunting, there is not a better crossbow out there. The Ravin R500 is the 2022 Editor's Choice crossbow. It blew us away not only with its speed, but its accuracy and its design. You can read more about both of these crossbows in the link in the description. I'm Scott Heinzman, gear editor for Outdoor Life. We'll see you all in the next video.